Today on Inner Beauty TV, we're going to talk about mothers, but not in a tearing down way. We're going to talk about it objectively. We're going to talk about it in all fairness. I think it's worth examining every stone and turning it over and examining why women are not getting married. And it's of my belief, excuse me, I feel that some women are not getting married because of external forces, because of fear that's being put on them. I do believe there are women that are fearful about marriage, they're fearful about the future, but I don't believe it's all their fear. It's not fear brought on from their experiences. I believe some of this fear is brought on by external circumstances, and that circumstance may be their mother. And this is not a beat up session on mothers, so no one's should leave here feeling like this was a beat up session on them as a mother or a beat up session on your mother. But I just want women to just step out of themselves for just a few minutes and examine everything. Because I'm talking about this. I said I was going to talk about this a few weeks ago in another live, but it's time that we have this discussion because I've seen women miss out on the loves of their lives because of fear that has been placed in them. And I do believe every woman has her own personal agency, and it is her adult decision to make whether she wants to enter into a marriage or not. I got all of that. But sometimes when we are in the care of our loved ones, sometimes, just sometimes, hear me out, they can put things on us. And they can make us feel some type of way, and that came from how they experienced life. And because of that, they want to make sure that our feelings are not hurt. And I completely get that. So today we're going to talk about that and what women can do to identify this, because they may not know exactly what I'm talking about. But we're also going to talk about what's the next step. Because if you want marriage and you want to really prepare to be a wife, you've got to unturn this stone and you've got to deal with it head on. This doesn't mean alienating your mom. It doesn't mean alienating family. It does not mean cursing them out and telling them never to. That's not where we're going. But we do need to examine why so many women feel fearful, and we need to turn over this stone, because I don't believe all of this fear comes from just their experiences. Some of this fear is inherited. So we're going to talk about it. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to Inner Beauty TV. I'm your host, Nicole Michelle, founder and feminine advisor for the Inner Beauty movement. We're all about helping women reconnect with their power, their core, their essence, while simplifying the pathway to marriage. So if this is something that you feel is tugging on you, you feel some kind of connection to this topic, to wife prep, to femininity, this is definitely the space for you. Give us a like, a follow, a subscribe. We'd love to see your face again as we talk about this difficult topic. And sometimes, I listen to people when they say, oh, you should cover this topic. And then when I cover the topic, they don't show up. That is hilarious to me, but I will do it anyway, because some women, this is their experience. But I have to chuckle because every time I take I deviate off of my topic list because I have topics scheduled out 2 years. That's how much content I'm ahead, like 2 years ahead of time. And I deviate from those list of topics to cover something that people specifically request, and I expect them to support this because this isn't what I wanted to talk about today. I have some real bangers lined up for April and May, and I had to deviate to do this at a request. But I'm going to do it anyway because it is YouTube and it will forever stand. And I do want to talk about it at some point. I have talked about it in the past. I've talked about mothers, but I'm going to talk about it again. And we're going to be open and we're going to be honest about this because I believe sometimes women being single isn't always about not being able to attract a man. We think, oh, she can't keep a man, she can't attract a man. We just think that's the be all to end all to why a woman is not single. I don't believe that that's the case by and large for every single woman. There are single women because they've been trained by a controlling maternal voice in some cases. And they've been controlled by this voice to fear marriage, to mistrust men, and postpone family. And I've noticed this a trend in the culture that anytime you talk about mistrust in men, men not rising to the standard, or men underperforming, or men showing up less than what they're supposed to be, then the culture responds. People respond. Even in real life, if you have a conversation where there's a gathering of women and you go in on men's mediocrity or men's ability to show up, you're going to get a response from women and they are going to respond favorably. Where did all of this come from? Let's talk about it. The culture responds to that. But I believe, and I know some of you are not choosing singleness, you're obeying your mother's fear. So I want to talk about this delicately because I don't want to offend anybody, but at the same time, some people's feelings might just be hurt. But I want to be respectful, and I don't want this to be a beat up session on mothers. I want this to be a great conversation. Hey Devin, hey everybody. You file on in, hit the like button as you come in. Please let the algorithm know that we're live over here. But some women are not choosing singleness. Okay? They're just obeying their mothers. Fear, specifically. And the tragedy there is they think they're being wise, but they're actually being controlled by old pain from their mothers. And a woman cannot prepare for wifehood while she's emotionally controlled or governed by her mother. And the way you know if this is your case is if you've ever said, I want to get married, but then you can't seem to actually move forward towards it. I need you to stay right here in this live. Hang out with me for the next hour or so. Because in this live, we're going to talk about something I don't really hear talked about across social media, because mother is the sacred cow. We don't talk about mothers. Mother's the sacred cow. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. I get it. I understand. But in order for our daughters to heal and to prepare to be wives, we've got to talk about the ugly part of motherhood. And sometimes, just sometimes, we can pass things on to our daughters. Today, we're going to talk about something nobody wants to say out loud. And that is, your mother may have been your first heartbreak. So let's get into it. The first thing is projection. All right. We're going to hit it on all cylinders today. The first thing is projection. And what are we talking about? Projection. This is a mother's unresolved pain with men, and that gets transferred to her daughter. And she may say things like, or it may be something like, your mother didn't heal, so she trained you to cope. That's what we're talking about. Because mom didn't heal, she's training her daughter to cope. We're going to come back to that. It's going to look like control or enmeshment. The daughter becomes an emotional extension of the mother. And this looks like your independence threatens your identity. Anytime you try to stretch your wings and move away from home and kind of embrace your own identity as a woman, somehow mom feels threatened with that. And so she starts to dig into her own experiences and pass those on to you. Sometimes it's fear based counsel. She may say things like, don't rush, men are dangerous, they only want sex, marriage traps women. And I don't blame women who say this 100%. This is her experience. And she's speaking it as wisdom. She's speaking it as wisdom to her daughter. Don't go down the road I went through. Don't experience the heartbreaks that I experienced. I don't want you to learn the hard way like I learned. But that's actually fear based wisdom that she's giving you. It is wisdom, it's just fear based. So, as we go through this live, this I want you to know this isn't about dishonoring mothers. This isn't about all mothers. Let's be clear. This is not about beating up on mothers. This is about pattern recognition and recognizing the patterns that can be healed and transformed. Now, this is not a healing lives, I'm not doing the whole we need to be healed and things like that. Women that come here have you kind of have an idea of what's holding you back, but this is a conversation that no real coach wants to really go dive deep into, because nobody wants you upset with them. Nobody wants to upset a woman and tell her that some of the wisdom that she got growing up may be the reason why she is so fearful about marriage in the future. Nobody wants to talk about that. But I'll be the brave one and I'll talk about it. But in a way that doesn't dishonor mothers. So let's talk about what's happening here. We're going to put a name on it. And so let me give you some language. Because in psychology, what they call it is enmeshment and projection. But in Christian circles, many people call this the Jezebel spirit. Now, before you fight me, before you click off, hear me out. We're going to define it so that you understand it. And we're not talking about the one-stop definition of Jezebel. There's more than one. The definition of Jezebel that you've been given is just one faceted, but it's more than just the sexuality. Let's get into it. And I want to be very clear what I mean by that. When I say Jezebel, I'm not talking about makeup or sexuality. So before you click off and get mad, I'm not calling your mama Jezebel and I'm not calling women Jezebels, but there is a spirit, a mindset that is driven by the Jezebel spirit. In Christian circles, in spirituality, that's what we call it. All right. So just have to be clear. I want to give you a thorough definition. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about a pattern of control and manipulation and domination. That's what I'm talking about. It's fear-based, it's dominance, and it's sabotage, especially when it comes to men, marriage, and family. So you won't necessarily see Jezebel when we're all getting along and we're all down with the culture, down with patriarchy, how should I put this? A lot of what the culture pushes, Jezebel won't have a problem with. You name it, she won't have a problem with it. Except when it comes to men, especially honoring men, honoring family, and honoring marriage. That's when she's going to rear her ugly head, and this is where she comes with the fear mongering and the wisdom of men just want sex and they just want your money and they're performing and she's got to go hard in that. As soon as you lean in and say, "Mom, I want to get married," and please don't tell her you want to be a traditional housewife, you're going to see her literally grow horns. And I'm talking about some women, not all. Some mothers are doing whatever they can to position you to get the life that you want, to elevate you. But there are some mothers, you mentioned men, you mentioned marriage, you mentioned family. It's like she goes dark. It's like another person arises. Hey, what's up to everybody in the chat? Hello, how are you doing? So before I get into what I call the Jezebel mother effect, I want to give you some context because I'm not just throwing around a name, okay? This is rooted in something real, something that goes back thousands of years. And when I show you who Jezebel was, I think you're going to understand why I chose this word specifically. So let's talk about who is Jezebel, right? Jezebel was a queen in the Old Testament, and she married King Ahab of Israel. She was not an Israelite. However, she came from a pagan culture and she brought her beliefs and her goals and her own agenda into a kingdom that wasn't hers to control. But she was powerful, she was beautiful, and she was completely driven by one thing, and that was getting what she wanted, no matter the cost. Now, if you're on the Feminine Elite Society app, I've given you movies where the main character had this energy. All right. I've given you some movies that kind of embody the Jezebel spirit. And when I say Jezebel, we're not talking about makeup and control here. We're talking about how she shows up in a controlling, manipulative way. And I point out this Hollywood sometimes can do the Lord's work sometimes. Well, they don't even realize what they're doing. They can actually put a movie out that actually epitomizes everything that I'm telling you, ladies. And if you go on the Feminine Elite Society app, every movie that I post, there is a reason why I post that movie for you ladies to watch, because it's going to embody something. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But you need to see it so that you can completely understand there's a method to what we teach over here. All right. So how does she operate? Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. How does she operate? First of all, it was manipulation. She worked behind the scenes. She pulled strings and controlled outcomes. Right? She operated in fear. She wanted to make people afraid to go against her. Even the prophet Elijah ran from her. Ladies, for those of you that want to do Bible study and you're doing your journaling, I suggest you study this passage of scripture. She was an expert at emotional control. When her husband Ahab was upset about something, anything that he couldn't have, Jezebel stepped in and said, I'll handle it. I got it. I got it. I got it. And she did it. And a lot of times she did it through lies and schemes. She always had a hustle. She always had something going on to get what she wanted. She always told Ahab, move out of the way, move out of the way. If something got to be done, I got to do it. Move out of the way, Ahab. She completely emasculated her husband. Instead of empowering him to be his best, she said, just move out of the way, man. I got it. And if she couldn't pull it off just with her natural skills, she manipulated and schemed to do whatever she needed to do. And another one of her arsenal tools in her arsenal was projection. She imposed her will, her values, and her agenda onto everyone around her. She'll say, yeah, I don't mind women having their own thoughts and opinions. And then as soon as you express a thought and opinion that doesn't align with her, the claws come out. The fangs come out, and you get to see another side of her that will completely tear you down and beat you into submission. Not literally beat you into submission, but for it kind of change the energy between you and her until you give in. A lot of mothers do this with their daughters. If their daughters don't do exactly what the mother says, she's going to manipulate that daughter using passive aggression. She's going to go silent. She's going to huff and puff. She's going to say all of the things that she did for you and kind of make you feel like you owe her. And that's how a daughter can feel obligated to do for mother. And so let me tell you a story that may illustrate this a little bit better. Think about a woman in your life who never directly says what she wants, but somehow everything bends in her direction. Have you met someone like that? Like she uses guilt, silence, fear, and emotional pressure to control the room. to control people, to control men, to control children, to control her children, her grown children. It could be her spouse, it could be co-workers. Everybody has to bend to her rule. That's the Jezebel spirit operating in the modern body. And I know you've seen it. I've seen it on social media. I've seen it in real life. Child, I've seen it in the church. I've seen Jezebel in the pulpits trying to speak to other women. I've seen Jezebel on TV. I've seen Jezebel in every social media platform. I've seen Jezebel in real life. She exists. Am I saying all mothers are like this? Absolutely not. But we have to examine this, a real close examination. She's dangerous because she was convinced that she's right. Whatever she experienced in life, her experiences are truth, and she wants to make sure her truth is everybody else's truth. She genuinely believed her way is the best way and the only way. She doesn't see herself as controlling. This is important. If you try to confront her with this, she's going to say you're mad. She's going to gaslight you, and she's going to tell you, you ungrateful child, you ungrateful friend, you ungrateful man, all the things that I've done for you and sacrificed for you. She's going to give you the guilt trip because she does not believe that she's controlling. She sees herself as protecting. And this is where you have to give her back her humanity. Because of whatever she's experienced, she's not, in all fairness, a lot of times they're not giving advice to hurt people. They're giving advice to protect them. In her mind, she's giving you advice to protect you. All of these women out here in the culture that are telling you to only date rich men and to get him before he gets you and get his money and only date a man with money and so forth and so on, which is kind of down market, because if you're successful in your own right, you're not just dating for money. So it kind of speaks to your socioeconomic level, respectfully. Women that are successful are not just dating for money. They are dating men, and they are wanting to get into marriages with successful men because they're successful. So, but when we only look for money, it's kind of a down market conversation, and it kind of devalues you as a woman. I'm sorry, it does. When you come to saying the things that you say in certain social circles, you will be shunned, you will be blacklisted. There's no way, shape, or form about it. And the people that push this conversation, get him, let's date for dollars, let's get some money, let's get, those type of conversations, no shade, respectfully, is very down market. But a lot of times they are not doing that to hurt women. In their mindset, they are protecting women. You can't depend on a man. You got to make your own money, this and that. Women that are professional, the women that are in my spaces, are doing well for themselves. So they don't need to date a man strictly for money. However, because they've made it to a certain level, they want to make sure that they attract men that are in their social circles. They want to become more attractive and a better partner, or not partner. Oh my goodness. They want to become better partners, maybe in business, but in marriage, better wives to the men that they attract. And so they need to kind of, soften the edges a little bit. So they're not really driven by money. Money, 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 money. Everything's money, 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 money. Pay this bill. He's got to do this. He's got to take me on this kind of date. Like, they're not driven by that. It's kind of down market, right? That's beneath them. What they want is a man that is on their level. And I get that. I'm with that all day long. That's what the Feminine Elite Society app is all about. It's helping you all maneuver and move around in those social circles so that you are attracting the best men out here, the high option men, the high performing men, right? So you're not money driven. That's not the only reason why you, if at all, that's not the only reason why you want to be in certain circles. Right? I just want you to avoid down market conversations, right? So when you go into these spaces, if you come in there saying, I want a man that's on my level, they're going to look at you crazy. Because to them, it's rich, 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 money, money, money. And over here is within context. Well, I've reached a certain plateau in my own professional life, and I want a man to meet me there, or be higher. All right, that's a legitimate, logical understanding, and men understand that. But if everything is money, 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 it's kind of down market, and it kind of makes people that have actually achieved certain things in life look at you kind of weird. You don't want that, but I don't think you deserve that. And for those women that may go into those spaces, I don't believe that the women are saying those things to sabotage you. They believe that they're doing this to protect you. They're doing this to prevent you from being hurt because of their experiences. And their stories have been checkered. Their stories are filled with trauma and broken hearts and sadness. And so they want to make sure that other women don't fall and go down the same rabbit hole of trauma that they went through, and monetizing that at the same time. No shade in that, but I do believe that they don't I do believe that they believe that they are protecting women. So in that respect, I don't have a problem with that. I understand. I want to protect women too, so I get that part. But a lot of times, I tell you ladies, that a lot of time the culture is pushing ideology and points from trauma, not from healedness, and it reeks of down market. I apologize if this is stepping on people's toes, but it reeks of down market. It reeks of lack of sophistication. It reeks of just trauma. And people don't want to be around traumatized people, because traumatized people are going to move in survival mode. And people who have built a certain life for themselves, they want to protect that at all costs, and they don't want people around them that are looking to hurt them and look at them like targets. They don't want that. And so they listen. I know some of you have gone in and listened to certain rhetoric around social media. Maybe in real life, you've gone to an event and you've heard women talking, and you can kind of feel disconnected from it, because you're like, I'm not just dating a man just for money, or just for his looks, or just for what he can do for me. I can do a lot of these things for myself. What I need for him to do is show up like a husband. So you feel disconnected from that part of the conversation. But I just want you ladies to know, that are listening to me, is that a lot of times those lessons are taught from trauma, because maybe the person saying those things or pushing those ideas experienced certain things, and so that's what they want to warn women about. And it's not empowering women to move past it and be better women. It's just stay here and don't avoid that trauma. That's the problem. That's what we're talking about here. And that's what makes it so dangerous, is because it's wrapped up in, I'm protecting you and learn from me, and men are not all that. But behind all that, you'll see a father that walked out. You'll see molestation. You'll see violations. You'll see male abuse. You'll see all kinds of things that shaped their view of relationships. And so what they'll do is they'll package those lessons into wisdom and protection, when really it's just trauma with a bow on top of it. It's just drop, because if she comes to you and tells you, yeah, I had a horrible life, I had a whole lot, I went through homelessness, I went through, having to do something strange for some change, I went through this, I went through that. If she told you that story, that would turn off a lot of people. So you have to put a bow on it so it doesn't look like what it looks like, respectfully. So this is how they draw a lot of people in to that storyline, except it doesn't help you. It gets you stuck. And it gets you put in a mindset of, I need to do this, instead of positioning yourself to be victorious and move like a wife. Right? And you warmly accept it, because it is wisdom. It's her wisdom. And it is protection. It's her version of protection. Right? And that's exactly what makes the Jezebel mother so hard to recognize, and even harder to heal, because it's not really talked about. And in mothers, it can look like she uses her daughter as emotional support, and she projects her pain onto men and discourages courtship. If she sees her daughter deviating from her lifestyle, see, her life was lived a certain way. If she sees her daughter doing something different, she's going to do everything she can to pull that daughter in, to keep that daughter under her thumb. Now, can you see why a lot of women can't gather themselves to prepare to be a wife? Because you have this dark shadow sitting on your shoulder. Every time you try to pull in that direction, you meet a great guy who wants to give you what you're asking for, and mom is going to come with the negativity. She's, oh, it's something about him. I just don't trust him. She's going to come, oh, he just wants sex. No, you can't trust. She's going to come with something. And then if that doesn't work, yeah, do this to get over on him. Make sure he's in pocket. Make sure that he does what you want. Make sure he kisses your butt a little bit. Make sure he loves you more than you love him. All kinds of rhetoric to make sure that you can gain control instead of just showing up in the relationship and being a good woman. That's too much to ask, because that places you at jeopardy. In her book, that's placing you in jeopardy. That's setting you up to be hurt, and she can't have that. Now, if you've never experienced that, she did. And we could break down all of the reasons why she experienced that, but we won't. But she experienced it. And because she's experienced that, that needs to be your experience. Because in her eyes, she can't have you. She doesn't want you to take the risk to find the love that you deserve. She doesn't want you to take the risk. She wants you to live safe. And living safe means finessing men, lying to men, maneuvering men, manipulating men. That's safe. But that's also Jezebel, because Jezebel is all about control. Remember, Jezebel isn't just makeup and sexuality. She's also control. And anytime you try to control another person, you're going into Jezebel territory. And baby, you can have a turtleneck on and a skirt down to your ankles and have the Jezebel spirit. This is not about she's dressed a certain way. She's Jezebel. That's only one definition that we hang on to. But baby, Jezebel's spirit in the spiritual realm is really control. That's what it's really about. Now, she has a certain aesthetic if you go certain places, but not really. Jezebel has all kinds of aesthetics, not just the aesthetic that we think she should have. Okay? So, anytime you try to deviate, Mom, I found a great guy, and, he says he's going to retire me, and I'm going to be... You better have you some money on the side, because he's going to leave you. You better have some money. No, you can't, because, men, they cheat. It's always going to be something negative. Instead of preparing her for every single possible thing. See, mothers are supposed to prepare their daughters for adulthood. And part of adulthood is being a wife. Now, some women don't have that scope of experience to teach their daughters how to be wives, but they don't even prepare them for just being thorough, well-rounded adults. A lot of times they scare their daughters every which way. The women are afraid to talk to men. They're afraid to flirt. They don't know how to flirt. They don't know how to carry on a regular conversation with a man that's non-sexual. They do not know how to relate to a man outside of business. And the women feel drastically underprepared for adulthood, much less being a wife. So when a daughter, says, you know what? It's more to life than this. And she just says, you know what? I want marriage. I want to take a try at it. Her mother is going to yank her back into this, her own reality, her trauma-based reality. Nope. He just wants sex. He just wants to use you. He just wants to do this. He just wants to do that. Before she can even give the man a chance, she's already talked to her daughter. Nope, you have to be in control. You've got to be in control, because when he get up and leave you, you have X, Y. Who said he was going to get up and leave? Why not prepare her to be a good wife? Prepare her to be a good steward of finances. Prepare her to be a good wife that shows up for a man who shows up for her. Show her how to recognize a good man when she sees it, instead of every man is a mark. Because teaching your daughters every man is a mark is Jezebel. It's controlling. Don't control her. Shape her. Help her. Help her. Educate her. Warn her. My mom would tell me certain things, and she would say, you give 100, and then after that 100, if he is less than, it's not on you. You did your part. That doesn't mean be a doormat, because that's what trauma-based teaching tells you. Everything you do for a man is being a doormat. Making his meal, doormat. Making sure he has his clothes ready for work, doormat. Ironing his shirts, doormat. Making love to him, doormat. Showing up as a sexy woman that he desires, doormat. Who am I supposed to be sexy for? Other women? Social media? I'm not supposed to be sexy for my man? It's not making sense. It's not adding up. It's just not supposed to add up, baby. It's all trauma-based teaching. It's to keep you in fear, keep you paralyzed. And what happens is, by the time you hear the sound of my voice or someone else who's talking about marriage, you're ready to lash out. You're like, I'm not ready for that. Why don't they cover the basics? What do you mean cover the basics? Your mom should have covered the basics, baby. Everything is an affront on you. Everything's a personal attack because you weren't prepared. That's the only way you know how to handle what's being told to you at this stage, is to lash out because you feel unprepared. But we got to go back to the source. And for a lot of women, that source is your first broken heart, your mom. Because she didn't prepare you for this, but she thought she was preparing you. And this is why I don't want to feel like this is a bashing session, because she's preparing you the way she knows how to prepare you. And that's fear-based. She says, preach, the past week I was in a discussion about marriage. I was shocked at the overwhelming group energy that refused to defend marriage, mostly by women in long-term successful marriages. Exactly. She says, side note, these women are all very successful in their professional fields, own side businesses, have their children in private school, live in beautiful neighborhoods, and drive luxury vehicles. But they're still downing marriage. I guarantee you a lot of that is carryover from mama. A lot of that is carryover from mama. And you know what, sweetie? I would love to know what their husbands have to say. Because, see, we love to pay attention to the wives and what they have to say. I would love to hear from the husbands. How is that household energy going on? Because they'll say, well, he must want to be here because he's here. The side piece says that too. He must want me because he's here too. See? So, like, we have to test the energy. Like, I would love to hear from the husband that lives in a home with a woman who is living fear-based. Because when you're living fear-based, you cannot trust that man 100%. You cannot show up 100%. You always have a backup plan. You're always double-checking his work. I would love to hear his side. I would love to be a fly on the wall when he's talking to his homeboys. I would love to hear that. That's scary. No, ask a wife. I would love to hear your husband's side. I know you're describing the marriage, but I want to hear him say it. I want to hear him describe the marriage. Totally different. A lot of times. Not all the time, but sometimes you get a totally different. And when women are living out of fear, everything's fear-based. I wonder what his description of the marriage would be. A controlling mother doesn't say, I want to control you. That's not what she does. What she may say is, I just don't want you to get hurt. Or she'll just say, I'm just being honest. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just letting you know what it is out here. I've been there, done that. She's going to say, I went through too much to watch you make the same mistakes. Put a 1 in the chat if you've heard your mom say that, or you've heard a woman say that, or you've heard someone online say that. I went through too much to watch you make the same mistakes. Now, it's one thing to say that and allow the woman to make her own decisions. It's another thing for you to say that and then control the decisions that the person is making. She's going to say that and not allow her daughter to make her own decisions. She's going to say that and expect the daughter to make the decisions that she made, the way she made them, or a different way, or move in the way she wants her to move. The intention sounds like love, but the impact is a daughter who doesn't even trust herself. She doesn't trust men, and she doesn't trust marriage. Now, can you see how this could stay in the way of women preparing to be a wife? You're so afraid. You're afraid of your own shadow. Because listening to that growing up, then you come to social media and you hear another, it's rebranded, different brands, but saying the same thing. You can't trust him, take his money. He ain't no good. He's going to cheat. Get your money, get his money. It's all the same thing, it's just repackaged. And you don't even trust your own judgment. You finally stumbled into a connection with a man that might be about something, and you're so afraid because everything that they've said to you over the years starts bombarding your mind. He's going to cheat. He must be lying. And this is where the neediness comes in, the clinginess comes in. This is where he better do this for me, or he's not into me. This is where the $200 dates come from. He better do this to prove that he's into me. Baby, this is where some of that comes from. You didn't just think of this on your own. That's where this comes from. Everything's fear-based. He better do this or he doesn't like me. He better do this. He doesn't like me. He better do this. Da da da. Everything is driven by fear. And by the time you meet a great guy, that you won't know he's great because you'll walk away from it. But by the time you meet a great guy, you're paralyzed by fear. I was talking to another woman, and she's got it made. I mean, she's driving the Maserati. She's living in the $500,000 house. I mean, she's got it. And she said, Nicole, why was I paralyzed when I finally met the man of my dreams? Why did I get paralyzed? This is why. A lot of this isn't something you did, baby girl. A lot of this is inherited. Now, I'm not saying this, the reason why all of you are single is because of mama. I'm saying it might be some truth there. It might be some meat there. If this isn't your mom, use this as entertainment, right? But if you hear something that's landing, I get it. I understand. And for some women, they're trying to understand, why do I self-sabotage? Why do I get paralyzed around the men that I find so attractive, or the men that should be my dreamboat guy? Why do I freeze up? It's not that you're not attracting men. Some of you, why am I always comfortable with the men that are underachievers and the men that could never, ever marry me and we get together and have a life of why am I always attracting those types of men, and then when I finally attract a man that I've been asking for, I'll get paralyzed? Because lady, dove, sweetheart, my Ruth's out there, sometimes that wasn't even on you. That wasn't even your fear. That's somebody else's fear that seeps up to your mind every time you meet a great guy. When you meet him and he seems legit, he triggers something in you, and you go to run and you get on your track shoes. You find something wrong with him. Oh, look at his nose. Look at his toe. Look how he said this. Look, oh, you'll find something wrong with him because, God forbid, mama is wrong. Not the woman that raised me. It's quite possibly not wrong. And a lot of daughters don't want to have a life better than mom, because you love mom so much, and I get it, but you don't want to be happier than her. You don't want to be happier than her. You don't want to have a life that's better than hers, because you don't want to hurt your mom. So you don't want to come home with the guy that you know your mom always wanted. You don't want to do that, because that's going to hurt her beyond recognition, and you don't want to hurt your mom. I get it. So what do? You date guys that won't trigger her. All it will do is bring you and her closer together because you get the trauma bond. Yeah, yeah, he did exactly what I said he was gonna do. Yeah, didn't I tell you, girl, he was gonna do that? I dated a man like that 20 years ago. And you and her bond over this. Over more failed relationships, you and her bond and bond and bond and bond. And before you know it, you're 35. Before you know it, you're 40. Before you know it, you're 45. Before you know it, you're 50. I know some 50-year-old women, 50 plus, as a matter of fact, 50 plus, still living through their mom's experiences at 50 plus. And life has passed them by. Marriage, motherhood. Marriage is still in her reach if she pivots. But marriage and motherhood, she missed out on that because she was living her mom's fears. And nobody sat her down to say, baby, that's not even your experience. You never even dated a man like your dad. But yet, that's your mom's experience. And because you love your mom so much, you don't want to hurt her by finding the love that you deserve. And instead of her preparing you for that guy, she kept you in fear because she did love you and she wanted to protect you. But life waits for no man. What are you going to do? Live your whole life through mom's lenses? What are we going to do? So when I say Jezebel mother, I'm not calling your mother evil, and I'm not asking you to cancel your mother or cut her off or stop loving her. What I'm saying is that some of you were raised by a woman who was deeply wounded. Beautiful, well loved, but she's deeply wounded. She never healed, not completely. And who passed that down to you disguised as wisdom. And you have been living by her survival rules in a season that is calling you to rethink all of this. You can't prepare to be a wife living somebody else's trauma, living somebody else's survival skills. I get it. You had a hard time raising me. I get it. Daddy put you through a lot. I get it. The guys didn't take you seriously because you had us as children. I get it. You had to get it. You had to work hard to succeed. I get it, Mom. I get it. But I get it. But that's more of a reason why I should really embrace preparing to be a wife, so that the guy that is for me, that is preparing to love me, I'm prepared to love him back. I don't have to live in survival mode. A lot of this struggle mode, this struggle love that you all talk about, struggle love, struggle love, struggle love, struggle love. You know, a lot of that comes from mama. She taught you struggle. No, that's not true, Nicole. My mom taught me to get a man with no. Well, hear me out. If you're operating from trauma, that is struggle, because trauma is struggle. You can't even see healthy love and recognize it because trauma is over it. You can't see a man that's showing up for you. You can't even recognize a man that genuinely cares about you from a man who could care less about you. You can't differentiate this difference because everything is seen through the lens of trauma. That's struggle love. No love can surpass that. No love can outperform that. No love can overcome that. Because it's not meant to overcome. It's meant to keep you in place and in trauma. So you look at every relationship, every man through trauma lens. And that's why when you get in certain spheres with men that are masters of the universe, they are high option men, they are high functioning men, high performing men, high production men. When you get around them, you freeze. Because you've been taught to look at every man through trauma lenses. And women will sit here and listen to everything I've said over the years and say, I'm preparing them to be with a man about nothing. I'm preparing them to just take anything. If any woman on social media has prepared you not to date men that don't have anything, it's been me. I have an entire app dedicated to helping women elevate their business and social circles. How many women do you know have an app dedicated to that completely? That's it. We talk about relationships. We break it down. We break down the family dynamics. We break it down understanding money. We break down all of that. Who do you know that's doing that? The culture will have you believe that the very people that bring you out, because the culture is nothing but Jezebel. It's all about control. The culture will have you believe anybody that tries to snap you out of that mindset is trying to control, trying to make you date down or make you date a man that doesn't want you or make you be a doormat. No, baby. You looking at every relationship through a trauma lens, that's keeping you attracting dusties. That's keeping you attracting men that just want to take advantage of you. That keeps you attracting men that want to move into your house and drive your car. That's jealous of your success. That trauma based thinking, that's what's keeping you attracting them. But when you come with a whole full heart and you've been wife prepped, and this, not your singleness, but your season of preparation. When you maximize your season of preparation and you're preparing to be a wife, you don't have to worry about a schmuck taking advantage of you because you're prepared. You understand the signs. You recognize the signs. You understand what he's going to say. You understand when he's lying. You understand what to look for and what to reject. That's why it's called preparation. You know when a man's playing games with you. You know when a man cares about you and when he doesn't care about you. You know the difference. You are confident in your preparation. Can you imagine trying to fire up a rocket ship trying to go to space and you don't have preparation? That's what marriage is like. That's what a lot of women are trying to do. They're trying to tell men, I'm prepared to be a wife. I want to be a wife. I want to be a wife. I want to get married. I want to get married. I want to get married. And men are like, okay, are you ready for this journey? No, they don't understand the chemistry of space. They don't understand why they have to wear a suit like that. They don't understand how to work the space machine. They don't understand anything. They just know they want to do it. And then men are like, I can't commit to that. You don't even understand my world. You're not ready for this. I don't want anything from you. Let's just be colleagues. Let's just keep it business. I don't even want that with you because you don't understand. Men are not afraid of getting married. I keep telling you this. They want a woman that understands the assignment, because a thorough man, the man that you desire, he's off somewhere preparing for you. He's preparing for you. He's getting his money right. He's in that gym. He's doing what he got to do to get you. Are you doing what you have to do to get him? Or do you think he should just accept me the way I am? See, that's more trauma teaching. What we do is we project because we didn't get enough nurturing growing up, respectfully. We didn't get it. A lot of our parents just weren't that lovey-dovey, touchy type. They just didn't grab you and hug you and kiss you like that. You just didn't sit on your dad's lap and have him read you a book in a non-sexual way. A lot of people never had that kind of nurturing. So they project that onto the relationships that they get into. And they look for the man to do all of these things, and if he doesn't do it just the way she needs it, no, baby, no. That stuff, we got to iron through that. That's not his responsibility to be your therapist and your father. He's your husband. Just like it's not your responsibility to be his therapist and his mother. And we put all that pressure on relationships, and we're like, well, he should just accept me the way I am. No, that's exactly what a little girl would say, because that would be true. You're a child. You're not developed. You should be protected. People should take care of you with delicate hands. But as a woman, it's your responsibility to say, you know what? I'm not a little girl anymore. And I didn't have those things. Let me go work through those things so that I'm prepared, so that I can give those things to my husband and my children. They shouldn't have to suffer because I suffer. But you know what mom is going to tell you? A mom is going to tell you, screw him. He needs to accept so what you came with these kids? So what you came with this weight? So what you did this? So what you did that? He need to shut up and pay those bills. Shut up and do what you ask. Shut up and this is what you do to get leverage over him, so he'll do what you want. She's going to show you how to pivot and show up with control instead of showing up with love. And a smart man, the men that women highly desire, the high functioning, the high powered men, they pick up on this so good because of the arenas that they move in. Baby, you don't think they've come across women like that before? That's all they come across. Oh, they're well versed in women like this. Don't ever think that you're the first one he's come across that's tried to run that game on him. Oh, yes, baby. And if he had a father in his life, oh, he's very well gamed up. Oh, he knows. Before you even start talking, he already knows what you're going to say. Don't even try it. And then, but when you come to him and you sound like a prepared woman, he's like, wait, hold up. I might have to hang my player jersey up for this one. Oh, she's different. Or he might say, you know what? She's finally the woman that God sent for me. She might be the one. That's the woman you want to be, not the woman that said he just needs to. No, you're looking for him to give you unconditional love like you should have gotten from mom and dad. That's not his job. And if you're listening to me under the sound of my voice and that might be you, that's okay. That's okay. You still deserve love. But now we also need to get you to a place that we don't put that type of pressure on the men in our lives. And fellas, if you're listening to me, the same. Mama was hard because she had to do it all by herself. Got it. I get it. Don't come put that kind of pressure on your woman because mama did it all. Mama did it all because she had to do it all. But what good are you to your woman if you're going to treat her like mama? Mama didn't have anybody. Your woman has you. So why would you put your woman through that same pressure that your mom went through? Come on now. You are projecting. Come on, folks. Catch with me. So fellas got to do the work, and a man that's thorough and he knows what he needs to work on, he recognizes that dysfunction, he recognizes that distortion, and he goes and he fixes it. He wants a woman who's done the same. Jezebel, she didn't know. Jezebel in the Bible, she didn't know she was destroying things. She thought she was building things up. And so does your mother. So, bad advice download is going to look like this. You don't need a man. They only want sex. All men cheat. They're only going to like you if you do this. Get your career. Men will always be there. And what happens is they ignore fertility, energy, and the romantic options that are not unlimited. She'll say something like, never depend on anyone, especially a man. And what that actually means is never be vulnerable, never trust, never receive. Why do you think so many women are so competitive? They can't make friends with other women because everything is a competition. Why? Because a lot of women are in competition with their moms. And they don't even realize, they don't even recognize that. They've never seen it, or they've seen it and they want to ignore it because who wants to admit that they're in competition with their mom? That's not a good feeling. To know that whatever you do, mom is going to try to outdo you. Mom is going to try to belittle everything you do. Put a 1 in the chat if you all still hear me. I want to make sure my audio is good. Y'all getting quiet. I know this is a lot. This is a lot. And a lot of people, they check in and check out because this is heavy. But this is going to help some people because some women, they are ready to prepare for a wife, but they are afraid to hurt some feelings around them. She may say, men ain't nothing. They only want sex. What this is a wound dressed up as wisdom. This is no shade to women. Maybe that was their experience. I'm not taking their humanity. I'm not dehumanizing them. I'm not minimizing their experiences. What I'm saying is that wisdom, that's not helping you. It's not. She may say, be strong and independent. You can't or shouldn't depend on a man. What she's doing is teaching you to armor up instead of open up. That really is a femininity blocker. I have yet to hear one person outside of myself, I've heard one other person speak about this, where you're taught to armor up instead of open up. That's actually a block to your femininity. And I'm not talking about it just in general. I'm talking about it specifically from something that was taught to you as a young girl or young woman. You've taught to be armored up, to be strong, to never let a man have control, never let a man lead. Well, that's why you're screaming and hollering that you want leadership from a man. These men need to step up. Well, yeah, you're screaming that you want him to step up because you're walking around here like little soldiers. You're walking around here like little lumberjacks, ready to handle things. Arr, arr, I can do it. Arr. You're not stepping back like, hi, you have that door for me. Thank you for opening that door for me. Thank you for handling that. There's two different types of energies. You want a man to step up and fight you for leadership, fight you for his natural God-given place and order, divine order. You want him to fight you for that? But you can't help it because no one had the audacity to tell you that that was placed into you. You inherited that mindset, and that actually blocked your femininity. It blocked your softness. It blocked the natural attraction men have to you. You had a natural, we are born with a natural softness, and it's our environment and the way we're raised and what we're raised to believe that will chip away at that very femininity. Have you ever seen a little girl? My daughter, before she was even could talk really well, my baby girl, before she could even talk well, she was carrying a purse, watching me with my purse and my heels. Before she could even talk good. I didn't condition her. My son didn't do that. He was jumping off of furniture and building blocks and knocking stuff over. I didn't teach him that. He asked for cars. These are gender things. The culture will tell you that's taught. No, it's not. I didn't teach my daughter to go get that to want a toy purse. She was all up in my closet in my shoes. Now, if I tell her this now, she'll, Mom, don't tell people that. But I'm telling you, she was all up in my closet in my heels and my purses. I didn't teach her that. But she saw me. She emulated what she saw. I'm telling you, these kids pick up they're like little microphones. They pick up everything parents do. If you curse, as soon as she gets in public, as soon as those kids get in public, guess what? They're going to say something. They're going to repeat exactly what you said. She might say it in church. The little baby might say it in church around somebody important, but she's going to tell what she's been learning. That's what kids do. The Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they won't depart from it. That works for good things, and that works for bad things too. Whatever you taught your children, whether that's trauma-based, trauma wisdom, they're going to take that into womanhood, and they're going to have to unlearn all of that just so they can prepare to be a wife and show up for that man that loves them so that she can love him back. Because what she'll do is she'll show up as a broken woman and she will break him. He'll stay as long as he can. He'll love her as hard as he can until he can't do it anymore. And he'll be out. And you know what mama say? Well, he wasn't good enough for you anyway. I didn't want him for you anyway. He ain't good enough for you. I knew he was going to do that to you, my baby girl. I knew he was going to do this. I knew this. Shout out to the moms who do this to their sons. And that's a totally different conversation. I want the male podcasters to cover that one. But being a boy mom, I can tell you, that's a fine line. We want to baby our sons because we want to nurture, but we cannot over nurture. That's why we need to let their dads do some of the heavy lifting. They need to be taught how to be a man. And by default, we want to protect our sons. We want to do this because we know how harsh the world is towards boys. And we want to protect them. Got it. But he needs that dad. He needs his father to help him be a man. And you need to stop mothering him when that man finds a wife. Go sit down somewhere. Go find your own husband. Where is your house? Go take care of your own house. Why are you up in that man's marriage? He is married now. He is not your little boy anymore. He's a husband. The same thing with I talk more to my daughter-in-law than I do my son now. And not because he's not my son. Of course he's my son. Of course I love him with all my heart. God knows I love my son. But he is not my little boy anymore. Now he'll always be my little boy. Technically he'll always be my little boy. But he's not my little boy to nurture and come here, let me do. Why did your wife do that? That's not my place. My place is to handle my marriage and my house, not his house. He has a wife. There's no more mothering I can do for him right now other than he asked me for some advice or some emotional support. Outside of that, I am not his He has a wife now. I need to move out of the way. The mother-in-law competing with the daughter-in-law. This is, yeah, that's bad. It's very strange, and I have encountered several women who experienced that. Shaking my head. It's breathtaking because things could be so nice. It could. A lot of times, and I'll say this and I'll move on from the boy moms. A lot of times with the daughter-in-law, they're kind of jealous because the son is treating the daughter-in-law like she was never treated, if that makes sense. So she never received a man treating her to the level that her son is treating this woman. So she's projecting that jealousy on to the daughter-in-law. And that Jezebel is rearing its ugly head. She's triggered every time he buys something for his wife. Every time he does something nice for her, she's triggered. She's triggered because she can't remember. Maybe she did at one point and she doesn't have it again. But her love for her son and his happiness should be the focus, not his marriage. And this is why I say, when your children get married, you need to mind your business. Go sit down somewhere. I am Gigi. I am not marriage counselor. I'm not marriage advisor. I don't give a bunch of advice to my daughter-in-law. I will say, you know what, after she had the baby, I said, go sit down. That's what the crock pot is for and the air fryer is for. Okay, put some food on in the morning, put it in the crock pot, and go chill with your baby. You don't have time to be standing up all day over a stove. I said that, and I said, was that too much? I'll ease up. I don't want to sound controlling, but I did. I put it in a bug in my son's ear. I said she needs buy her food that she can put in the crock pot, so that when you come home, you still have food, and so she can take care of the babies without having this pressure that she's got to cook. But you know you have to eat when you come home, when you get off work. Got it. So buy her food, meals like stew and goulashes and soups and things that she can prepare in the slow cooker, so that by the time you get home, dinner is made. And I said, these are some meals. Make her, buy some things for like chili, and they're in California, so they're gonna be eating a lot of soups and things like that. But buy those things so that you get fed. She's doing, what she has to do, but also the kids have something to eat because they have a toddler. So the baby will have something to eat. She'll have something to eat, and she's able to take care of the children. And she won't be able to get every single corner of the household all the time. Gonna have to pitch in and help out a little bit till she gets a little bit better. That's a conversation you have with your son, not with your daughter-in-law. Her mother is supposed to be teaching her how to show up for your son. You can tell those things to your son. Hey, she just had a baby. Can you clean the bathroom? Can you straighten up the bed a little bit? Okay? You threw your socks on the floor. Can you put your socks in the hamper? Can you fire up the washing machine just a little bit? Maybe you can hire a maid to come in and do the deep cleaning until she's back on her feet. That's something you tell your son, not your daughter-in-law. You're out of pocket. Get in your lane. But these aren't warnings about marriage. They were warnings about your mother's marriage or past relationships. A woman who has been hurt by the carpenter, for example, she doesn't warn you about all the wood, okay? What she does is warn you about the carpenter. Your mother protected her story. She projected her story onto your future. Does that make sense? When you're upset about the carpenter, you're upset about the situation. A carpenter, he's going to complain about the wood instead of complaining about the carpenter. When you've been hurt by the carpenter, for example, you complain about all wood. Look at all this wood. Wood, instead of complaining about the carpenter. That's what I'm trying to use as an analogy. Does that make sense? Put a 1 in the chat if you're following here. Let's turn a corner. We're going to wrap this up pretty soon here. Coping versus preparing. This is what I want a lot of women to have a wake-up call on. That you want marriage, right? You want to become a wife. You want to experience having a family. You want that. So how do you know if you're just coping or preparing? Right? Are you staying busy so you don't have to think about being single? Okay. Are you telling yourself you're working on yourself? You're getting yourself together? Or using tricks and scripts but avoiding anything that actually challenges your relationship patterns? Do you run from deep conversations when it comes to relationships and transforming? That's a lot of things I've noticed about the culture. And I've noticed about real life. I've noticed that as long as it's surface-based conversations, women are all in. But as soon as it goes below the surface and we start talking about transforming into mothers and wives, then all of a sudden, it's defensive. All of a sudden it's pushback. All of a sudden it's name calling. All of a sudden you're judging them. And a lot of women just tell themselves, I'm working on it. I'm figuring it out. I don't need to work with anybody. I've got all the answers. I can figure it out. I got it. And meanwhile, you're running from the very same thing, the very exact thing that you need. Here's another one. You're keeping men at arm's length and calling it standards. Always wanting to be pursued, but never being caught. Chase me. Get away. You attract men. You don't have a problem attracting men. And then you finally get them pursue you. And once they pursue you, you push them away. You do whatever it takes to push him away. And then once he's away, now all of a sudden you start crying. Why does he stop pursuing me? What's going on? What happened? I thought he liked me. These men are lazy. They don't want to commit. No. It was fun as long as he was pursuing you. And as soon as he's like, okay, she's not into me. She doesn't like me. Whatever the case may be, he's tired. And he stopped pursuing. Now it's his fault. Are you consuming a lot of wife prep content like this, but you're never actually investing or doing anything differently? There's countless women that listen to me over the years. They haven't moved from A to B yet. Waiting for a man to show up and somehow override all the fear your mother installed. You just think he's just going to show up. Your Prince Charming is just going to show up out of nowhere and he's just going to look past all of this. The problem is all of these things are coping. They're not actually helping you prepare and helping you shift into wife preparation. Coping keeps you comfortable, but preparing makes you ready for the life you say you want. You cannot do both at the same time, sweetheart. Any questions before we get out of here? I said I wasn't even going to be long today. But this is important and it's heavy. And I know a lot of people are going to get upset with me, but come on back to next week. It's got to be said. A lot of people don't want to talk like this because they're afraid to piss you off. I'm not. It has to be said. Some mothers are jeopardizing their daughters. Some mothers are jealous of their daughters. Some mothers are afraid That everything they did in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s is going to rear them alone, and they want their daughters by their side because they didn't prepare for getting old. They didn't prepare for aging. They didn't prepare for all that life that they lived. They're not preparing for what's on the other side of that, and they don't want their daughters to move on because that is going to make them responsible for their own lives, which is why I'm rooting for you millennial women. I'm rooting for you Gen Z women to reject a lot of this rhetoric you hear on social media because, baby, what you're going to see in the next 20 years, you're already seeing it, but in the next 20 years, you're going to see women 50 and above doing most of the talking when it comes to dating and marriage. Guess what? They're going to do a hard pivot. They're going to say, you know what? I want to get married now. I want to get married. I'm looking for a man that I can settle down with. And nothing's wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with that. But the dating market is going to be filled with mothers and grandmothers. And nothing's wrong with that if they understand what their future is. But a lot of them will not understand the gravity of what's going on. And I want to catch you millennials and Gen Zers before this is you. The culture is preparing you to be alone. Oh, I got some bangers coming up in the next few lives. I'm telling you, they've doing the dirty work that they've done to us Gen Xers. They're trying to double down on it with you millennials and Zs. They're trying to double down on it. A lot of Xers are trying to double back and get the life that they should have gotten in 20s and 30s. Or maybe they did do something and then they realized maybe I should have redid it a different way. And so they're entering their 50s and 60s trying to do things. And I'm not judging them. Life is life. Life is a different teacher for different students. I get it. I understand. I am in no way, shape, or form judging anybody up in here. But what I'm saying is, if we saw that it didn't work for the Generation Xers, why are we doubling down on this with the millennials and the Zs? That irritates me. We know it doesn't work. We know women raising children alone doesn't work. And yet, we still push that ideology as if it's good for the children. And now the women have these grown children that they've managed to raise without a man. Got you. God bless. God is faithful. God will take care of babies and children. My mother always said, the Lord takes care of babies and fools. The Lord will take care of you. Now that you're back out here, what are you going to do? Because Gigi got to have a place to stay. Are you still? I cannot move to California and stay with my son. Although he would never tell me no. But I don't want to do that. He has his own family. Ew. You're going to see more homes being built with mother-in-law suites. You're going to see that more and more. And nothing's wrong with that. I think that's a beautiful thing. Especially if mom needs help. Right? And, I wouldn't want every woman out there to be put in a nursing home. You just don't have it like that. Right? Unless it's top of the line care. You're going to see an increase of senior living facilities. There's a community out in Florida that I love. Ivana, you may know what I'm talking about. It's outside of Orlando. It's like smack dab in the middle of Florida, and it's a senior living facility, and it's like a little bitty town with all of these brand new houses. They have their own shopping center, everything, and it's like they closed the gate, and it's just this one community. You have to be over a certain age, you have to have a certain income or whatever to get in this community, and it's a senior living. They have physicians on facility. They have recreation. It's just nothing but a big theme park for older people, except they live there. And I was like, ooh, that looks fun. That looks fun. You're going to see an increase of communities like that. It's a community like that here in Ohio. I said, oh, no, they didn't. Look at Ohio trying to copy off of Florida. I said, no. And I said to my husband, I said, you're going to see an increase of this. Because if everybody stays single, where are the villages? Yes, somebody knows what I'm talking about. Yes, the villages. Go online and look on the villages in Florida. I'm telling you. I was like, oh, and it's in Florida. Oh my goodness. You're going to see an increase of communities like that. But what if you can't afford to live in those communities like that? What if you can't afford that? What if you can? What if you can't? And here's the funny part about it. The people that move there end up marrying other people in the community. They still are marriage minded in the community. People are still wanting marriage and family. So I said all that to say this. We're not running from anything. Life, you think you're running around things and avoiding things, it still rears its ugly head. So it really, your future depends on your preparation. You're going to see a lot of people say, you know what? You know what? I'm a cashier greeter at Walmart for in my spare time. I worked in corporate America all these years, and I just want to be around people. I don't want to be in the house all day. So you might be a Walmart greeter, or you might be, the school crossing guard or something like that. It happens. Or you might want to start a business. You may not want to be that high powered going into your older years. You might just want to slow it down a little bit and enjoy life, whatever the case may be. You got to be prepared for it. And a lot of women are realizing they don't want to do that by themselves. And if they're not financially prepared, like some of you are financially prepared, but what if you aren't? Now that guy that drives that truck is not so bad after all, because he can do something. Isn't that settling? Why don't you just position yourself to get the best man now while he's young and virile? And you all can enjoy life and enjoy each other's bodies and enjoy a healthy life, instead of waiting until you're older and you just don't have the energy to do any of that. I get it. I understand. But why push that onto, that's the life that you have now because of the decision you made. But why push that off of millennials and Zs? They have never experienced love. They didn't even experience growing up like Generation Xers. We had our grandparents, sometimes our great grands. I had my great grandmother till I was like 13 or 14 years old. I mean, and the stuff she would say, my goodness. I should do a live just on her. I'm saying that we didn't have that. We're so disconnected from our roots. Generation Xers, we had our roots to a certain degree. The millennials and Zs, not so much. A lot of Generation Xers, we moved all over the place. We moved all over the place. We moved away from our connection. And so the kids don't have that connection like we did. So now you have millennials and Zs trying to figure it out as they go along. And I'm using this because next week is going to segue into what I'm talking about next week. I'm using this to say, just because you're learning how to cope as a woman doesn't mean that's fair to push that on to the next generation and the generation after that. The millennials and the Zs deserve a chance to try. And we don't, it's bad enough the economy is the way it is now, that it's hard. They don't even have starter houses anymore. I'm going to talk about that next week. They don't really have that anymore. Young adults coming up in the 20s, 30s, and 40s have starter houses. 2 bathrooms, two bedrooms, 1 bath. That was affordable. It wasn't meant to be expensive. It wasn't meant to be lavish. It was starter. Now people get married and they expect to move into a $500,000 house. Period. If they don't get that, they don't want marriage. And we push that onto the millennials and Zs, knowing as Generation Xers that a lot of us got married and lived very, very normal, okay? Very, very humble until our careers picked up. And then we moved into the gated community. And our businesses were in the red for the first 5, 6, 7, 10 years. And then boom, it took off. And now we're in a place where we talk as if we've always been rich. That wasn't what it was in Generation Xers. We forget and we pass that on to our children. We buy them every single thing instead of having them to work for it. So they think they just wake up and an iPad is supposed to show up on the doorstep delivered from Amazon. Who's going to pay for that Apple phone? They just automatically just got an Apple phone and it has AI on it. It has everything on it. Who's paying for that $1,000 phone? Generation Xers, we had to get jobs. Our parents made us get jobs. Now, if you get this job, I'll match it. and then you can buy your own car. We've We've idolized everything. We've taken what we've seen on social media and we've put that pressure on millennials and Z's, and that pressure is starting to break. And what I'm saying is, for a lot of millennial women and Z women that want to be married, baby, it's time to take a real close look at some of the information that was given to you. All right. It was given to you, and now it's time to take a look at that. It's time to take a look at it. Take an honest look and evaluation at it. And I'm not saying go dump your mom and tell her don't call me anymore and isolate your mom. I'm never saying that. But it's time to take a close look at it. And for those of you that are experiencing this, accept this with love. That when you try to do this by yourself, when you try to shut everybody else out, and try to figure this out on your own, it's risky. And you'll keep repeating your mother's timeline over and over and over until later becomes never. You'll keep choosing men based on fear. He's safe. I was talking to a young lady the other day. She's with a guy just because he's safe. She doesn't like him, but he's safe. That's a horrible reason to be with a man. You'll feel guilty anytime you desire marriage. So you're going to self-sabotage. You're going to stay emotionally bound to your mom, which makes true love and true marriage impossible. Baby, that's not a fantasy. True love is not a fantasy. But as long as we're tied to the hip with our moms and living out her story, it will never come to fruition for us. And God doesn't want that for us. Speak that over your life right now. God, whatever it is you want from me, I want that. Help me, position me in the right spaces to where I can get the information I need. So what preparing is going to look like is you actively identifying the beliefs that you were handed and deciding which ones you're going to keep. And building the emotional capacity to be loved, not just to be desired. So many women out here are desired. They don't even know what being loved means. Learning what a healthy dynamic actually feels like, not just what it looks like on the outside, and working with someone who can help you see your own blind spots. Remember, coping keeps you comfortable. Preparing makes you ready. You cannot do both at the same time. So, for the women who genuinely don't know what's blocking you from marriage, you know it's not the mother thing. You've listened to this and you're like, no, this doesn't apply to me, but you know it's something. And you keep ending up in the same patterns, the same relationships. You're like, oh, this is the one. And then something falls, the bottom falls out of the relationship and it doesn't go any further. And you can't figure that out. You can't figure out why your relationships keep failing, why the guys just keep tapping out on you. The Blindspot the Bride is going to help you see exactly what you can't see before. And if you looked at the list of bad advice and thought, I didn't even realize I believed that, the Blindspot the Bride is for you. And the link is at the top. A special price for those of you joining me on the live. And the Good Girl Method is for the woman who was raised to be perfect and compliant and approval seeking. Maybe your mother may not have been controlling through anger, but she was controlling through your high standards and conditional love. And you've been performing goodness instead of being yourself. Or maybe you made some choices and you need to reset. I call it the Fun Girl Reset. I've attached that to the Good Girl Method. That is available there. You can hit the link that's pinned to the top of the chat. Now, the good time girl or the fun girl rehab is for the woman who went the opposite direction. She rejected her mother's world entirely. She rejected the church. She rejected the culture. She just didn't like any of that. And she ended up in situationships and situational love and relationships with no real future. And she's quite tired of that. because she's become numb instead of coping quietly. So if you know you've been using fun and distraction and the wrong men to avoid the real work, this is for you. All of these three roads lead to the same place with me. A woman who is actually ready. I'm your advisor and I'm going to get you ready. Not just saying you're ready, not just watching videos about being ready, but actually ready. The link is in the description. Go pick your path. Now, the Feminine Elite Society app, I'm so proud of it. We've got a new look. I'm so proud of it. If you want to elevate your social capital in silence, that's key. And learn how refined women move in discretion and boundaries and composure, download the Feminine Elite Society app. I have some screenshots of it. Baby, I'm so proud of it. But some of you need to be on that too, because we talk about relationships, high trust relationships. We talk about those types of relationships. The young woman that I talked about that had everything, the perfect life, the look, the money, the success, and she freezed up with that high options man. I told her to get on the app. You need to get on the app because that's going to prepare you for that meeting. Because baby, I want you to be ready. Some of you are ready. Some of you are not ready. And you know you're not ready. You know, you think you're ready. But when he comes, she thought she was ready too until he walked up to her in that suit. And he was 6 feet. And he did have the six pack and the six figures. I think he was pushing 7 figures, as a matter of fact. She froze. She thought she was ready until that happened. Okay? Get ready. Get ready and stay ready. So you don't have to constantly rush to find the answer when you finally get in the rooms with the men like this. And they do exist. And they're looking for women that understand them and are ready for their world. Period. Some men freeze up with a man making 50,000. Let's talk about it. Let's get you ready. But you do need to understand that. And this is not selling a dream. This is practical. Practical, because even in the professional world, you still need to understand that. Still need to understand international business. You need to understand international culture. You need to understand these things. And I finally put this in a place where I can put all of this content. I don't want to do another course. I just put it there so anybody is able to gain access to it. It's not gate kept. It's anybody that wants to get the energy and go through it. It's there. And shout out to those of you that were patient with me through the building of this app. I finally have it looking the way I want it to look. But shout out to you that that were with me in the very early stages of the app. I appreciate you and thank you so much. And I'm extending the offer to those of you listening to me now as of this day. Come tomorrow, this offer will not be on the table. But if you are currently on the app as of today, and you know I have a list because I keep excellent records. If you are on this app right now, send me an email. I want to give you a month free on the app. As a thank you, it's been 4 years since I've had this app. I have finally found the look and the message and everything I want for this app. You all invested in me while I was trying to figure things out. I don't take that lightly. I appreciate you so much. If you are currently on this app as of right now, as I'm speaking right now, send me an email because I know you have my email. The email is on the app. If you don't have my actual email, you can email that, use that email on the app and email me with your email address. And if the back office shows that you are currently active on the app as of the sound of my voice, I will give you 1 free month. I want to show you how much I appreciate you investing in this project, because it was a project. It took me a minute to figure out which direction I wanted to go with the app, and now that I know, I appreciate you. Shout out to all of you on my Patreon. I appreciate you as well. Those of you that are investing in the Ruth Collective, which is the one-on-one containers working with me, I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate you. You should appreciate yourselves investing in your own journey. of wife prep, because this isn't easy. Don't email me in June of 2027. Don't email me a month from now. Only 24 hours. Actually, once the clock hits 12 midnight, the offer's off the table, because people will be joining and then saying, give me a free ad. I'm not saying, I want people specifically who have invested in me before I extended this offer. I want to show you a special thank you. So just send me an email and we'll get you taken care of for the next month. But I want you to know that I appreciate you. And you, ladies that are in the Future Wives Club, be prepared, because we are leveling up that space as well. He says, shout out to Mackie. He says, we're no longer in an era of hyper individualism. We must start being more communal. Extended family really matters. That says it all right there. I totally agree. Mama in them, grandma in them. Listen, I am here for my daughter-in-law. I'm here for my sons. I'm here for my daughters. Tony seems to think that I'm a helicopter mom, but I want my daughter to. She sent me a text message and called me talking about, Mom, is it okay if I come do laundry? The laundry facility in my apartment complex messed up. And I said, are you serious? I was like, you don't have to ask to come home. You have your key, right? That means you always have a home. You never ever feel like you have to ask to come home. She was like, okay, Mama, I'll be home. That's what community means. You always have home base. Home is wherever I am. If I'm in Timbuktu, if I'm in wherever, if that's where I'm at, that's where you are too. Come on. Like, it's nothing like that safety, because I remember that safety my mama gave me. Trying to figure it out. I'm in this big city trying to figure it out. And you're going to have those moments where you're like, I need some help. Some of you are proud. You don't want to ask for help. I got it. And some of you are going to reach out to mama and daddy. Some of you will do that. Some of you will reach out to aunties and uncles and cousins and friends. And now's the time. Pride comes before the fall. Sometimes you need that extra help, that extra. Sometimes the best thing people can give you is wisdom. Sometimes the best thing that they can give you is not always money. Sometimes it's wisdom. So, and if it's wisdom that can build you up, that's the wisdom that we want. Not just wisdom that just tell you men are all trash. They're all going to do you wrong. Okay, that's 1982 wisdom. I need some wisdom that's going to help me get along with this man so we can raise these kids. Because I'm not going to raise these kids by myself. So help me figure out how to get along with these men, because I want one. I want a champion. I call my husband my champion. He's my champion. He get out there and he fight for me. He earns for me. He takes care of this house. That's my champion. Teach these women how to get along and first of all, choose a champion and get along with your champion. You don't abuse your champion. You don't talk down to your champion. You don't misuse your champion. You don't manipulate your champion. You build your champion up. Make him glad to come home to you and put on his armor for you. He's your champion. The culture will have you tear down your champion and expect him to get out there and slay dragons for you. No, that's not how that works. And if I was a man, I wouldn't do it either. Screw that. You sitting up here being mean to me, and I'm supposed to put on my armor, risk my life, and go out there and slay dragons for you, and come lay the dead dragon at your footstep? Like, what? I don't think so. If I was a man, I wouldn't want to do that either. Your champion, you treat him well, because the better you treat him, the more he's going to want to please you. That's healthy love. What trauma-based love teaches you is no matter what you do for him, he's still gonna dog you. Well, girls, speak for yourself, because I don't deal with men that dog me. Speak for yourself. I don't deal with cheaters. Speak for yourself. I don't deal with men who don't pay bills. Speak for yourself. I don't deal with abusive men. Speak for yourself. I don't deal with men who don't see my value. Speak for yourself. I don't deal with men who don't understand that I am the prize. I don't speak to men who don't recognize that I am a blessing, not just a prize, but I'm a blessing. Not only do I have to earn him, but I have to earn him, and he has to earn me. We're blessings to each other, not just I'm the prize and I sit on this pedestal and I don't do anything. No. Speak for yourself. You've dated bums and dusties and people that wanted to move in with you and drive your car. Speak for yourself that you had to date a man that dipped all into your bank account and dogged you and slept with your best friend. You speak for yourself. Me over here, I know how to reject a bum. I know how to reject a man that cannot be responsible and take care of his own seed. I know how to reject a man that's abusive and doesn't know how to keep his hands to himself. I know how to attract men like that. So speak for yourself. Ladies, I'm going to get you there. I'm going to get you speaking like that, so that when you come across women like that, you're like, I don't, that's not my experience. Like, I had like a run-in with a guy that seemed like he was going to go that direction, and then I rejected him, child. I don't date men that don't understand their responsibilities as men. I never have to worry about a man making me pay on a date. I don't know. I give off the energy that a man wants to take care of me. I don't give off that energy that I have to go 50-50 on a date. I don't give off that coffee date vibe. I never have. I'm sorry, I don't know coffee date. I don't know what that is. I don't give off that vibe. I'm sorry. That's not my experience. You got to get bougie on them. I'm sorry. I've never experienced that. I'm sorry. I don't know what that means. What's a coffee date? What is that? I don't know. What is that? $200 day. I don't gauge how much men spend on me. They just naturally want to do things for me. I don't know. It's just my experience. Right, girl? You gotta turn it around. They want to trauma bond with you. Girl, these men out here broke. Broke? What is that? You date broke men? Really? I thought that was the thing we did in college. We still do that at 35? Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I don't date broke men. You gotta get bougie with it, ladies. Broke men? What is that? What is... That's something I did in college, girl. You still do that? Ooh. Like, you just, that's not your experience. Like, you gotta show them that, look, I'm evolved. You date men that yell? Ew. Outside of football, I've never seen a man yell. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. You date men that yell? Ew. Where do you meet guys like that? I'm curious. And really look at them. I'm curious. And grab your pearls. I'm curious. Where do you meet guys that hit women? Ew. Yuck. I don't date guys like that. I don't date guys that expect women to pay. I've never experienced that. What's that like? And just like tilt your head a little bit. What's that like? Tell me. Share. I would like to know, what's that experience like? Because it's hard for them to share some story like that with someone who hasn't experienced that. That's why I'm telling you to say that. Shut that all the way down. Because what they want to do is pull you into that crap. And now when you go out with, he better spend this, or he doesn't like me. No, that was her experience. And a lot of times what they don't tell you is how they actually showed up that made that man treat her like that. Because that guy that took her on a coffee date, oh, he went all out for somebody else. She won't tell you that part. She'll just say, these men are broke. And no, they're broke for you. If you're his fantasy chick or his dream chick, or you're the one he's going to do for, I'm just me. I don't know. What does all that mean? What does dream woman mean? If you're his her, what does that mean? What exactly does that mean exactly? I'm just me. I show up, I'm me, and it works because men, I don't have to really ask for much. Like, men just give things to me. What does that mean? What does that mean when you're his dream, his fantasy woman? I'm just me. I guess I'm fantasy for a lot of men because, I walk in, they sit up straight. They change their language when I walk in. They open the doors. They pull out chairs for me. I don't think I'm fantasy. I don't think that deep if I'm their fantasy woman. I just show up as me. And men just do nice things for me. They just want to protect me. You know? That's what I want women to get to. That's the point that I want women to get to have that confidence to say, I I understand. Like I dated a bum once, maybe back in college, maybe in high school. A guy asked me for to share my hot dog at the football game. I guess is that broke? I don't know. But outside of that, I'm grown. I date men that understand responsibility. I date men that understand that this is how I show up, and I expect him to show up a certain way. I don't need to give him a lecture on how to show up for me. I just naturally attract men that understand the assignment. I just do. And I get to filter who I want to keep in my life and who I want to put back. With that kind of energy, that is magnetic to a man. Because low key, men are champions in their hearts. And they want to prove themselves. That's built in to them. To want to earn something, to want to compete. You don't compete against a man. Make that man compete for you. Not compete with other men, just competing, just trying to earn your love, not mistreating him while he earns his love. But he knows, wait, she didn't just write off on me just because I smiled in her face. Wait a minute. She's making me show her what kind of man I am. That's toxic. I'm sorry. That's intoxicating. That's what I meant. That's intoxicating. That's magnetic to a man, especially the 20% of men that always get everything anyway. The guy A's that I've told you about, those guys, they get everything anyway. And when one woman comes along and sticks to her guns and says, wait a minute, you don't just get to run roughshod over my life just because you're handsome or just because you're rich or just because you're successful. Wait a minute, I don't know you like that. I need to get to know you. Most women don't have the discipline to do that, and therefore they'll have to fight over the coffee date guys. They'll have to fight over the guys that want to do Dutch. That's what's left. If you're not prepared, that's what's left. So let's get prepared. Let's get the Blindspot the Bride. Let's get into the Future Wives Club. Once you purchase the Future Wives Club or the Good Girl Method, right before you're ready to submit your purchase, it will extend an offer or an invitation to the Future Wives Club. You can enter the Future Wives Club and let's hit the ground running. Shout out to the members of the channel. I see you. So, let's do this. And don't wait until the fall to prepare for cuffing season. That is insane. Cuffing season is for people that are just dating. Cuffing season is every day for women in the marriage market. It's not a season for women that are preparing to be wives. Cuffing season is every day because you might meet your future husband at any point now. You might have already met him. You don't know. That's how it happened for me. My husband was in my orbit. He was a friend of a friend. That's how close we were together. That's how close. You just never know how close your husband is. And if you're not prepared, baby, somebody else is going to snatch him up because they've been prepared and you weren't. Men are getting smarter day by day. Shout out to them. And they're not signing up for crap. Good for them. This is not your grandmother's dating market. This is a marriage market like no other. It is cutthroat. And men are smart. The smart ones are reading their Bible and doing it the godly way. And some of them are just straightening up and flying right. They're trying to get it together. They want to self-correct. They don't want to end up like their fathers. So they are doing what it takes to get themselves in position to be winners out here. And they want a woman that understands the assignment by his side. They're getting it. And they're not always marrying the prettiest woman in the room. Just so you know. Just so you know. Do I need to do why the girl next door is always the winner? Ooh, that'll make some people mad. I might do that inside the Future Wives Club. Because the culture would have you believe you have to be a 9 or a 10 to get a man around here. Anyway, thank you ladies for joining me today. I know this was a heavy topic. I know it's heavy talking about mothers. It's triggering. I don't want you being rude to your mother or misusing your mother. But I do want you to journal and pray about this and maneuver. But I also want you to recognize that it's time for you to prepare to be a wife. And every single advice given to you, you won't be able to take to that part of your life. It's not, you're going to have to say, Mom, I love you, but this is something that I want. And if you love me, you'll support me in this, not tear me down. Not tear the idea down, not tear me down. I need your support through this. And let us both be happy. Right? I was thinking about the Titanic and Rose and her mother, and how her mother was toxic the other direction. She wasn't sabotaging Rose, but she was sabotaging Rose in meaning that she shouldn't get married. She was sabotaging her the opposite direction. Marry somebody that was toxic because he's rich and he can save us. There's mothers like that too. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's all toxic. It's all Jezebel. It's all controlling. And I'm not saying your mother is a bad person, but she did things to protect you. And that's the goodness of it, is that she was wanting to protect you. But now you're grown. And now you've got to do a little protecting of your own future. And that means you got to move away from the trauma wisdom, and you got to move towards wife ready wisdom. Get with us so we can get you ready to prepare for walking down that aisle and finally seeing your dream man down that aisle. Because, baby, people are still getting married. Why can't it be you? Thank you so much for joining me. Remember, I love you and Jesus Christ loves you. And until the next time, keep the faith, everybody.